Every day, nearly 20% of the world's oil passes through a narrow stretch of water between Iran and Oman. It's called the Strait of Hormuz.
Strait of Hormuz.
President Trump asked the chairman of the Joint Chiefs why they can't just immediately reopen the Strait of Hormuz.
It's one of the many countries hoping the U.S. can reopen the nearby Strait of Hormuz.
At its narrowest point, this global energy lifeline squeezes through a corridor just 21 miles wide. But the actual shipping lanes are even smaller, just 2 miles wide in each direction. That narrow corridor carries tens of millions of barrels of oil every single day. Which means one thing: if something disrupts the Strait of Hormuz, the entire global economy feels it almost immediately. And lately, tensions in the region have reminded the world just how fragile this choke point really is. Warships patrol the waters. Insurance premiums for oil tankers surge. Shipping companies quietly prepare contingency plans. In recent years, the Strait has been the stage for seized tankers, damaged ships, and direct military confrontations. It is one of the few places on Earth where a single miscalculation could ignite a wider conflict. Please take a moment to subscribe and like the video. It really helps the channel. The Strait isn't officially closed, but the possibility that it could be disrupted is enough to send global energy markets into panic. And that panic doesn't stay on trading floors. A disruption here wouldn't just be a geopolitical crisis. It would mean higher fuel prices, rising transportation costs, and more expensive goods on store shelves, felt from New York to Tokyo. Which raises a fascinating question. What if ships didn't have to pass through the Strait of Hormuz at all? For decades, engineers and strategists have discussed a radical idea: a massive canal cutting through the mountains of Oman's Musandam Peninsula, allowing ships to bypass the strait entirely. On paper, it sounds like the ultimate solution. But reality has a way of making simple ideas much more complicated. To understand the canal idea, you first have to understand the geography. The Persian Gulf is home to some of the largest oil producers on Earth: Saudi Arabia, Iraq, Kuwait, Qatar, the United Arab Emirates. Almost every tanker leaving these countries must pass through a single exit: the Strait of Hormuz. Roughly 20 million barrels of oil move through this corridor every day. That's about 1/5 of global oil consumption. Few places on Earth carry this level of economic importance. And unlike many other trade routes, there are very few alternatives. Some countries have tried to reduce their dependence on the strait. Saudi Arabia built pipelines that move oil across the Arabian Peninsula to ports on the Red Sea. The UAE built a pipeline that connects its oil fields directly to the port of Fujairah, outside the Strait of Hormuz. But even combined, these pipelines can only carry a fraction of the oil that normally travels by tanker. For the rest of the world's energy supply, ships remain essential, which means the global economy still depends on this narrow gateway. And that dependency makes engineers very uncomfortable, because choke points concentrate risk, and few choke points on Earth are as sensitive as this one. Now look at the map again. At the northern tip of Oman lies a rugged piece of land called the Musandam Peninsula. It stretches into the Strait of Hormuz like a jagged mountain fortress.